Welcome to another hot episode of the Move the Needle podcast.
It finally got hot here in Arizona.
Yeah,
it did.
Yeah, it's starting to turn.
Everybody said that.
All right, here's what's on par for everybody today. You like my language? I'm choosing that because we're at the Foothills Golf Club. So we're going to sit down with a dude named Dr. Rockett, who I know a couple of things about.
Sure.
We're going to sit down with Christie Ellis, famous realtor and philanthropist. And we're going to sit down with Meghan Murphy, who I just had an opportunity to meet a couple of weeks ago at an incredible event. And it's all on today's Move the Needle podcast. A quick word now from Amy Richardson, Keystone Montessori, Vero, and the Tutor Docs. And we'll see you for the show.
Buying or selling a home is one of the most important decisions you're going to make, so you deserve someone who truly cares about your journey. I'm Amy Richardson with the Savvy Realty Group and HomeSmart. Living and raising my family in Ahwatukee for nearly 20 years, this community isn't just where I work, it's my home. Growing up in the Midwest, I learned early the importance of connections and relationships. These values shape everything I do. From our initial conversation to long after you've settled into your new home, I'm here to provide ongoing support and guidance. From staging to cutting-edge marketing strategies, we expertly showcase your home to sell swiftly for the highest possible price. So if you're ready to buy or sell, please reach out to me. And remember, important decisions require savvy solutions.
Hello, I'm Laura Hertzler, head of school here at Keystone Montessori, nestled in the Ahwatukee foothills. We are celebrating over 25 years of serving the community with authentic Montessori education. Our community at Keystone is home to 12 classrooms serving children from 15 months to 15 years old. We take great pride in each of our Montessori environments that support our students at each stage of their development. Please call us today for more information. We would be happy to welcome you to the Keystone family.
What's up? Welcome to Move the Needle. This is it. It's
Yes.
finally happening. We're deep in the bunker, Steve.
Brand new bunker, by
This
the
is
way.
it.
It's a new bunker.
Very cool
Appropriate
space.
after the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you watch a little bit of it?
Of course, I
Okay.
cried like a baby when Rory won.
So happy.
I'm so happy for him.
Yeah. All right. So this is the voice for those that are listening and not watching of Meghan Murphy. And I met Meghan a couple of weeks ago, Steve. Can I tell you how
Sure.
that whole thing went down? So I got invited, a friend of mine, Teresa Porter, that we had on the podcast, knows somebody who knows somebody over at New Freedom Project. And she said, they're having this breakfast on Friday morning. Come on out. And I said, this is brilliant. Breakfast? Galas should be the new thing. Like, screw the evening gala with the gown and all the things. I want bacon and eggs
Yes.
for my galas moving forward. So anyways, we go to this event, and this woman right here steps up on the stage, and we're going to learn a little bit about New Freedom Project in a second, but just her way, the things that she's trying to do there, and what an inspiring place this building is. I knew she had to come on our podcast.
Yes.
And so officially welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great to have you here. For people that don't know what the New Freedom Project is, let's just kind of crack on that first.
Absolutely. It's a little much to explain in one sentence, but the mission of New Freedom Project is to create generational change and strengthen communities by providing critical resources to individuals on their re-entry journey. So that can be reentry from incarceration is most commonly what we see. Also addiction or homelessness, community members who need help reentering.
Yeah, if you go to their website, you'll see, or actually, I think it's on your LinkedIn profile, this great quote by Sharon Adler, or Alder, that says, one of the most important things you can do on earth is to let people know they're not alone.
That is my life mission.
It is your life
personally.
mission.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I feel very strongly the same way about that. And so when you walk into the New Freedom Project, what's amazing about this space is they've gutted and taken over an old hotel space.
Yes.
And so they have all the hotel rooms. I mean, you think about what's in a hotel, right, Steve? You got the kitchen, you got the common area, you got the conference rooms, you got the pool, you got the gym. And all of these things have been turned into a very usable and workable facility so that you can take up to 300 people at a time.
Yeah, even more than that. We can do 380 in our Peoria facility, and then now we have our Deer Valley facility, which has a capacity of 150.
Is that just going to be for women, or?
Correct.
It
Yep.
is?
The Deer Valley facility is right now just for women, and the Peoria facility is filled with men.
So I did a little bit of homework, and I figured out that in 2006, a group of incarcerated men joined together on a common ground after realizing their time was best served by helping others. So inside the confined walls of the prison, they developed a full curriculum of peer-led courses to teach their fellow inmates fundamental life skills and recovery principles to prepare each other for re-entry into society. And that's how this idea was birthed and born, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. It all started in prison, and someone who was serving a life sentence was really sick of seeing these young guys just come back over and over and again. And so he started this curriculum, this peer-led mentorship program, and they saw such success that the prison actually gave them their own space within the prison to continue this program. And so he was eventually out of incarceration and partnered up with a few folks in the recovery community and wanted to start a program. And so they started it kind of outpatient, as anyone would, rubbing two nickels together and doing what you can do. And they thought, wow, this really would work so much better if these people didn't have to find transportation, find time in their day aside from work and seeing their PO and all these things. And so they got the idea of a hotel, really, and a place where people could stay and have a transition period between prison or whatever they were working through and returning back to the daily routine of work and family and whatever you have going on. And so it became available, the hotel became available during COVID, and it was an old 4-Point Sheraton hotel.
Oh, nice.
Very nice hotel.
Yeah.
And they got going right away. And today we have over 350 people in that facility and another one.
Yeah, it's a brilliant concept. Obviously, I wanted to sit back here. I know this is, Matthew, one of your major passions in life, working in this area. So I was just, I'm just interested to learn all about this. Is this something that you guys have started? Is this a pilot in the country? Are they doing this other places?
Yeah, so I actually just joined the team about a year ago, so I can't take credit for anything like that. But the wonderful people who started it and have kept it going all this time we would all love for it to expand. I mean, recidivism is a real problem. People leaving prison and going right back. National averages are over half. So over half of the people leaving prison are going back within 3 years. And so we just see those taxpayer dollars that we're all paying to keep them there keep going up and up and up. We see those families continue to suffer. We see the workforce missing out on great people who could have wonderful jobs.
Bad for everybody.
It's bad for everybody. I pulled some statistics off their website because she's right. It's over, it's like 50-something% of people are going to go back to prison when they go the first time. But of the graduates who have come through the New Freedom Project curriculum, if you will, that number is 7%.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Only 7% end up back in prison. And so I think the question is, what's happening inside those walls that's reducing that number so small?
I think we have to first look at the problem, right? So when people come out in a traditional way without any of the resources or without coming to New Freedom, it looks like these people may not have an ID. They may not, have a safe place to go. They may be struggling to figure out what their next step is. Meanwhile, they've just, depending how long that they've spent incarcerated, our average at New Freedom is about 16 years is the average sentence we see people come.
It's a long time.
It is. And so your way of thinking is skewed. You've been in this culture, prison culture, for so long, and your life has looked one way and your routine has looked one way for so long. And so to then go and be thrown into just the daily hustle is quite overwhelming. You can only imagine.
Yeah,
for sure.
And so when they come to New Freedom, they're just given that safe space to say, it's okay. You can decompress. We can break down, what you might have been working with before. We can have new coping mechanisms. And so at New Freedom, they jump into their new routine, which we hope that they'll continue when they leave our doors, of fitness, of nutritional food that gives you energy and clear thinking. They spend most of their day in therapy classes. They have really awesome cohorts that they are with of community, because prison really is a community if you think about it. Not a healthy community.
Not maybe one you choose.
Exactly, but it has such community family factors in it, and so that is continued, but in a healthy way at New Freedom. And so people come and they might see buddies that they knew from the yard however many years ago or even more recently. or people that they might have done crime and time with, as they say. And so they're coming and seeing these people doing the right thing. And instead of saying, well, this is how it's done around here, you better jump on board, or, and that being bad choices, it's like, get on board. We're doing good stuff now. We're learning new coping mechanisms. We're fixing our destructive thinking. We're making relationships with our families. We're studying for whatever we want to learn about. We're doing vocational training so that we can get jobs. And
I did a tour there, and she showed me this huge vocational board. It's like plumbing, electric, construction. I mean, there's a whole myriad of options for these guys and girls to kind of pick out something that maybe speaks to them. And for so many of them, that kind of a trade is going to be an incredible opportunity.
Absolutely. A huge opportunity. And it's not just jobs. No one leaves New Freedom and goes to work at McDonald's. These are the careers. We want to make sure that they are starting somewhere that they can grow, and that we have relationships with those employers who understand that that's what we're trying to do, and bring people on purposefully for that reason.
Speaking of that, will you share the story of the gentleman that spoke at the breakfast that morning, and he employs an enormous number of people that have come through the project? Just give us the cliff notes of that guy's story.
At our breakfast, we had a panel, and so one of the speakers on the panel was John Morris, who's the owner of PHP Painting, one of the biggest painting companies in Arizona.
And big commercial jobs.
Okay.
Yes. And so he was one of the first employers to really get on board and start hiring our graduates. And now he said that over half of his workforce is New Freedom graduates, because he just sees that these are people who have gotten this second chance, and they do not want to do anything to mess it up. They are there early, they stay late, they don't complain, they work hard, and they're happy to be there. And so it's only grown from there to have even more and more employers hear what's happening, get excited, maybe try out one or two, and now they're, please feed me more and more. Because you think about the workforce in these trade areas, I heard a statistic that for every one person, or for every 5 people leaving the trades, that there's only 1 person going in right now.
Yeah, the numbers are super low.
They're really low. And these specialty trades are so important to our communities, to our families, to our whole ecosystem, really. And so having these great workers who are eager and excited and hungry for success, and also just healthy and happy people as well.
Yeah, and I could see also maybe, really from the other side, from the employer, seeing people, not to glamorize, but hey, listen, look what they got through. There's a lot of there's resilience. I mean, big time resilience built in, and that's what a lot of people, wave the white flag. And so I would see that as I'm sure they do, as a real positive.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to ask you a couple of questions. So you're about a year into this job.
Yes.
I've been in about 3 years. I've been working with this community. What struck you about these guys and girls who had come out of prison for, several years? What struck you about that organization, both from the standpoint of like, I didn't really expect that, and that was impressive.
I think the potential and the excitement and the eagerness, also the gratitude. I mean, there's so many things, right, working with this population that are so rewarding, that we're so excited about, that I'm so excited about, that I get to see happen kind of in front of my eyes. But to see someone come in on their first day, so nervous, as you can imagine,
sure,
kind of head looking down, walking slow, not really interacting with people, and after even 2 weeks sometimes, they're walking around, high fives, hugs. Hey, let me introduce myself to you. Let me find out more about what you do. And so just to see those transitions happen make me excited from my point of view, but also for their families. I think the generational change, Matthew, we've talked about is so important to me, and I know it is to you as well. But just to think that now that person can show up as a dad or a mom or even an uncle or an aunt or anything like that, a sister, brother, son, daughter, and bring this new rejuvenated sense of hope and inspiration, and be so ready and willing to work on relationships and work at whatever they're doing. They want to work their hardest. They want to succeed because they know that they have this second chance, and they're so grateful.
Well, 91% of all the people that have come through the program are still employed after 2 years.
Well, so
this works,
yes.
The
right?
tail of the tape. Oh, yeah.
The tail of the tape, man. It
done.
works. I mean, I just think, like, imagine your kids, your daughter. Like, imagine you go to prison for 16 years, you don't see her. When you get out of prison, what's the only thing you care about? Is getting back into her life and being a part of her life. And I would imagine that their family members are a huge source of motivation for them.
Yes. I mean, it's sometimes both. Sometimes families and the way that they grew up and the communities they came from are the reason that
that's true.
they might have ended up incarcerated in the first place. But also, sometimes it just happens. You wouldn't want to be judged on the worst day of your life or the worst mistake you've ever made. I think we can all think about a time that could have been us, or at least our loved ones.
Yes.
And so for us to be able to see those people recognizing what happened, doing what they needed to do, and then returning to their families and being able to have healthy conversations about mental health, about mentorship, about all these key pieces that helped them get to where they are, I think that's something only their kids will look up to and be excited about and build that trust back up again.
And let me share with you, Meghan, I have a personal experience with this. Somebody in my family that wasn't incarcerated, but got in trouble with the system. And I will say I have a new perspective, and what was shared with me is really somebody intellectuals that it's very, very, they make it very difficult. I mean, it's so easy to end up in prison is what I'm trying to say. Like, really, it really is. I mean, like you say, you're a bad day. I mean, and then once you get in that system, it's been shared with me that the system almost wants you to fail. They're not cheering you on like you. That you don't have those type of cheerleaders. That's not what I heard.
Yeah, I equate it to healthcare, Steve. It's like there's a lot of money to be made off of sick people.
That's what I guess I'm trying to say.
It's $90 per person per day to have them, for taxpayers to pay for them to be there. And we're the ones who are paying for it, but these people are just getting richer off of it.
So listen, trust me, I was humbled, and I understand that perspective where really, really good people can end up in an awful mess beyond belief, beyond belief.
And then get stuck in a cycle and not have their way out.
Yeah, we actually did a
re-entry
simulation at ASU last week. So we went into
what does that look like?
Went into the classroom, and different New Freedom Project and New Freedom employees kind of set up different stations, and each student gets a persona. Like if you've ever gone to the Titanic Museum, right? You get that kind of.
Oh yeah, they do that at the Holocaust
yes,
too. You
exactly.
go through as somebody.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So you have this persona, you know how long you've served, and you have all these things that you need to do, right? You need to get your forms of identification, but you also need to get a job, but you also need to visit your PO. You might have to stop by social services because you need some money to get through. Then you have to go to treatment if you have an addiction. You have to do all of these different things.
You gotta go buy food. You gotta
food. That is one of them.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that was actually funny. None of the kids ate. Like in the whole process of things, they were so working on trying to get these things done, and it's something that you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
You're running around town all day, and you're not feeling good if you're not eating.
No.
And so you're more likely to end up in these kind of worse situations because you're not your best, and you're being pulled in a million different directions, just trying to figure it out.
High stress.
Yes. And so it was interesting because at the end of it, some people were self-surrendering. They're like, it is way easier to just go back to prison. I know I'm not homeless there. I know, they say 3 hots and a cot. You have 3 meals and a place to sleep. And even these students going through the simulation were like, I give up. It's easier to go back.
Wow. It's powerful. It's powerful. But the work you guys are doing, and it is just actually surprising to me that this isn't a bigger deal and a bigger situation right there. I just wonder how many people are in prison right now that would be so much better off in a place like NFP where they could just go through a program, get some counseling. Because, Cordero Homes, who we had, we didn't have Cordero on you, but we will. Cordero Homes talks about how the point of differentiation is an information gap. And what these families know and learn growing up. Like, for example, when I'm in the Durango Detention Center and I'm talking to these 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old kids about why did they get here, like what happened, how did you get here? Almost every one of them raise their hand when I say, as a family member, been to prison before. Has it been an aunt? Has it been an uncle? Has it been a mom? Has it been a dad? Has it been a brother? Has it been a sister? And it's like it runs in the family. And then the other thing that I was surprised to learn, I know I asked you this question earlier, what kind of surprised you? I was surprised to learn how it becomes a badge of honor for some of these guys to end up in prison. And it becomes a badge of honor to be in solitary, or like in their world, boy, that means like you're a bad mofo, you know what I mean? And you better, like, if I ever get back on the streets, you better respect the hell out of me because I was this guy inside. And I mean, all of that stuff floored me. But I just have seen the capacity for people to grow if they get presented with new information.
Yep.
And they can latch on to a vocation that excites them a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
But it is hard for these guys because they're used to making big scores quick.
Right.
Right? I can sell dope on the street and I can make $1,000 to $2,000 a day. Now you're telling me I got to go get this job and I got to work every single day and I'm not going to get my first paycheck for 2 weeks. It's a hard mind shift for people to jump over to that, and I can understand why the hurdles feel so insurmountable to them.
And I think that that's why the guidance and the help of their case managers, their therapists, their other people in their cohorts are so important to them to help them really understand, yes, wow, that might have been fun. Think about all of the risks that were involved in it. Think about how many people you hurt along the way. Think about all of those things and how much better you could be for our world, for our community, for your kids to see that change. And I think what you're talking about, that generational change of how many of those kids raise their hands that their parents were incarcerated or a family member, just they don't want to see that continue when they really stop to think about it.
Yes.
And that for so many people that I've met and talked to, at least, is kind of the thing that's keeping them going, is like, hey, even if my kid might not even want to have a relationship with me after this, at least they see that people can change, that people can do something different than what you know them to do if they are given the resources and the information and the education and the opportunity to show that they can. And so I think that those same kind of badges of honor that they might wear in prison, they're now wearing at New Freedom. I mean, we have in their cohorts red
badge,
lanyards.
I'm healed, right?
Yes.
Like, badge, I have a job.
Or leaders. You know, we have
Right.
red lanyards are the group leaders voted by their peers to be leaders of their
that's
group.
great.
And they are making a action figure and a comic book about red lanyards because they are so excited.
That's awesome.
And so proud. So those badges of honor really change, but I think they're even more meaningful when they're at New Freedom and they know where they're headed with it.
It's an incredible place, man. You have to go get a tour
Yes,
of it,
absolutely.
Steve. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
hook you up with Meghan after this. You got to go down and
We'd
just
love
see
it.
it for yourself.
Yeah, it
When
sounds
is the
amazing.
next opportunity to help you guys fundraise?
Every day,
Yeah,
all
there
day.
it is. Oh, every day, all day. Links in the show
It's
notes.
April 15th if you're still holding off on
Yeah.
your taxes.
Yeah.
Get those QCO donations in. But really, yeah, we always need support. It is vital, especially right now when we're talking about Medicaid dollars being on the cutting table, that we have the support of the community, that we have donations. We are a QCO, qualified charitable organization, so you can make those donations in the state of Arizona and get those dollar for dollar credits right back. So that one's a no-brainer. But anything that you can do, we also need clothes. You can imagine how many people come through. So New Freedom is a 90-day program. Sometimes we have 15 people come in a day. We graduate over 100 people a month. It's just constantly
That is
rocking
so
and
good
rolling.
to know. Like, because we donate all the time to Goodwill like
Yes.
everybody else does. But you're right. This
We
would be
need
such a better
clothes.
organization.
Spread it
We
out.
need
yeah.
it so bad.
I'm just going to be done with the Goodwill, and
I mean-
from now on,
Yes,
it's here.
please.
Yes.
Let's make a stand, Matthew.
Yeah,
Everybody.
absolutely.
Yes, because we need clothes more than you would ever believe. These people, when they get there, we give them 3 brand new sets of clothes, hygiene, shoes, all the things that they need for their stay while they're there. But when they leave, some of the people who came in with nothing and who don't have that community or family there for them when they are leaving, they need work clothes. They need
Interview clothes, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or
Shoes.
even
How many people have
shoes.
shoes in their closet they don't wear?
jeans, literally anything, because the alternative is that they are going to have to then go buy that, or they'll be shopping at Goodwill for the things
That's
you
right.
donated.
Yeah.
But we want to just remove as many barriers as possible. There's enough out there, right? And so if we can remove one more with a set of clothes that makes them feel awesome, then let's do that.
A
Yes.
little more confidence.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It's
Find
an-
our style again. You've been wearing the same
Yeah.
thing for 15
There
years.
it
Get a
is.
little,
Time
find
to-
out what you like, you know?
Time to update.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's about housing, job training, education, clinical care, clothing, hygiene, documents, nutrition, wellness. NFP is really doing everything they can, and the numbers back it up. As I said, they've served well over 6,500 people. 93% of the graduates that go through the program never end up back in prison. 91% of them have a job after 2 years. It's saved taxpayers just here in Arizona $200 million since they've been in business. Like, this is the kind of person and community and organization that is truly moving the needle, in the biggest way.
And makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It just really
does. And
it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
It's exciting for them to be in our community. I've worked in the community for a while and didn't know about them. And now being so deeply integrated into it, I'm so glad that this is here in Arizona. I hope it expands to be in every state because we need it. But we are so lucky in Arizona that this is happening, that we're showing that second chances work, that our economy is growing from these individuals not going back to prison, that our families are getting stronger, family units are getting better, and that generational change piece is happening. It's really a stronger community here in Arizona because of New Freedom and New Freedom Project.
Well, speaking of second chances, believing in second chances and they work, if you could write a letter to someone that walked through your doors for the first time, okay, scared, uncertain, like you said, carrying everything they own in their welcome bag, what would you tell them about the journey ahead?
It's going to be a good one. It's exciting. Be open to new opportunities. Be ready to learn. I think sometimes we see people who are hesitant to admit that they might have room to grow or have things to learn that they might not have known before. And so just be open. Be open to the people you're meeting. Again, there's a very big culture in prison about maybe not being open to certain types of people that are different than you. And we don't have that at New Freedom. Everybody, no matter what group you might have been in before, people really drop that at the door. And so I would just always encourage people to continue to do that and to be open to meeting everyone and learning from everyone that is there. There's such a wealth of information. And to just be excited for your future. Know that it's coming and you deserve it. You deserve love. You deserve success. You deserve happiness. And we're just here to help you find out how that works for you.
What a message. There it was. I love that. Thank you.
So let's get some inspirational music on the end. All right, man. Let's do a slow build. Let's really make that miraculous.
Yeah, you could write that letter. Get those words down. Yeah. I mean, that was the letter. I mean, that was
well, she works with so many cool people who are saying the same thing.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Part of the magic is that 85% of our staff has that lived experience, whether it's incarceration or addiction. And so, when I'm standing there telling them all these things, they might be like, okay, lady. Right. But when they have all these people around them who have been there and done that and tell them that they can do it, they know they can.
Listen, Meghan started from the bottom. Now she's here too.
Yes.
Yeah. She's put in her work. She's put in her time.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, of course. I'm so happy for more and more, really our community to learn about this project. It's in our backyard. How many cool things are happening in our backyard, and you don't know about it.
And how well it's working. Yeah. I mean, in every which way. I mean, for them, for financially,
right?
For society,
yes.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win all the way around. We talk about that.
Beautiful.
Yes, I
all
love
right.
it.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to sit down with Dr. Rockett. We're live inside the Foothills Golf Club. We're inside their new bar and grill area called the Bunker.
The Bunker.
Yeah,
I like that name.
It is. It's a great little space.
Yeah.
They put in these 2 simulators that you can see behind and some table and chairs. This used to be an old theater room. So if you can imagine, there was a big theater at the end there, and there was all this stadium seating.
And a super nice bar, too. I could see things where they're kicking out some happy hours.
As soon as we're done, they're going to let us open them up. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you guys for having me.
See everybody for segment 2 here in just a minute.
At Vero Chicago Pizza Ahwatukee, we focus on quality and a great pizza experience.
With over 30 years in the business, we've perfected our craft to bring you the best. Our pizzas are made with top quality ingredients, creating rich flavors that capture the essence of Chicago-style pizza. And our family recipes like the homemade meatballs and Italian beef sandwich add a special touch to our menu. Enjoying a meal at Vero is about more than just food. It's about making memories with friends and family in a welcoming space.
Join us at Vero Chicago Pizza Ahwatukee and taste the difference for yourself.
Hi, I'm Kim Selchin, owner of Tutor Doctor of Ahwatukee, Chandler, and Gilbert. We understand every student is unique, which is why we meet them where they feel most at ease, whether online, at home, or in a public space. Our academic coaching is designed to help even the brightest students overcome organizational challenges, sharpen study skills, and build confidence, empowering them to achieve their best. From kindergarten to adult, we believe every student can be successful. We also have expert SAT and ACT coaches to help teens with college admissions and scholarships. I'm excited to learn how we can partner with your family to help today's learners become tomorrow's successful adults.
Well, welcome back. It's episode 36 of our Move the Needle podcast. I'm Matthew, that's Steve. And we're live at the bunker today inside the Foothills Golf Club, which is such a cool new space. This used to be an old theater.
Yes, big time, like a movie theater.
Yeah.
Like nobody was using it. 'Cause nobody goes to the theaters anymore, barely.
It had become a storage facility, if we're being honest
exactly.
with these guys. And when Trune scooped up Foothills and started renovating this place, they saw some value in adding a spot like this, which I think is incredible. I can see a lot of happy hours. Yeah, a lot of like team builds going on.
Yeah, and like I said, this bar, like that's like a really nice bar area where you can hang out, watch sporting events.
Yeah. Well, the voice you're hearing is Dr. Rockett, and I'm really happy that we've got this guy on the podcast today. I've known him for 20 plus years.
Wow.
But it is one of those things where I don't really understand what he does for a living. And so today.
Nobody does.
Nobody does. Yeah. And so I'm hoping to get a little bit of clarity because people will say to me all the time, what does your father-in-law do? Yes, he's my father-in-law married to his daughter, Nickley. I'll be like, he's in healthcare. I think he builds surgery centers. He helps doctors in the GI space. I try to work through it.
You got it.
Yeah.
Right.
But you've worn a lot of hats, right? You were an executive at Blue Cross Blue Shield. You were the CEO of a big company called Valadair. You're also a father, a brother, a son, a husband, a grandfather. And now you're in this new role with Rockett Healthcare, which you started, has it been 10 years?
11
years ago.
11
Congratulations.
years.
That's amazing.
It's working, I guess.
It is working.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's working well.
Decade plus.
How did you get your start in healthcare?
So I got my start in healthcare with Blue Cross of Oklahoma. I was, looking for a job. It presented itself, and so I stuck with Blue Cross, moved to Chicago, was with another healthcare company there called First Health, and then jumped into this business of working with physicians and consulting with physicians and understanding what they do and what they need on the business side. On the business, trying to help them sustain their independent practices, which is getting harder and harder.
Yeah. What I try to do a little back end research. What I'm getting from that, are you part of like helping them set up their private clinics when the doctors when you go to their instead of going to the hospital, you go to their little clinic and have their surgery, which I've had. That's where I had my knee surgery and a hernia.
Right.
Was that a little office there?
Yeah, well, it's a surgery center.
Surgery center.
Yeah, surgery center. Yeah, I often call them ASCs, ambulatory surgery center. Right, and there's a lot of different regulations about that, state to state to state. So I started in Chicago after we moved from Oklahoma to Chicago, and I was there for 30 years, and we worked with a lot of physicians, a lot of specialists. And so, depending upon the state and the regulations, the physicians can, have varying degrees of success using their office for doing procedures, either an office or a state licensed surgery center. So those are two different things. Most people don't quite understand that, but that's what I do. I help them set it up. Either or, whichever is the best way for them to go. Yeah, we went through a whole thing with a GI group in Avondale. Say, look, this is what happens if you go down this path, or you build a surgery center and you do it to Medicare certifications, standards, and it's more expensive. Or you go down this path, or you do it in your office. You already have an office, and it's much less expensive. I mean, there's trade-offs, advantages and disadvantages, but so I help doctors all over the country with that.
Yeah, Boston. He's always flying to Boston, New York.
New York, right.
Yeah,
Hawaii.
I had a big surgery in Boston, actually, at a young age, Brigham and Women's Hospital.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it was a big hospital.
Huge,
yeah.
Right.
So, I've had my little stays, a couple of them.
What's the benefit of these surgery centers, the ASCs, outside of like why do we not want to have these procedures in hospitals? Why do we want to have them at a surgery center?
Well, so basically it's I think number one is financial.
Yeah.
However, convenience is a major issue, and quality of care.
Comfort,
yeah, for sure. But if you can walk into your doctor's office or into a small surgery center and have a knee replacement, have a colonoscopy, have a carpal tunnel, have a whatever, then it's more cost effective for whoever's paying, Blue Cross or Medicare or whomever, or the patient, right? Patient's always paying a share of it. So it's more beneficial all of the way around there. And that way, the hospitals are reserved for more serious cases. The cases where they really need that level of care.
Medical emergencies.
For sure. Emergencies, trauma. But, the oncology cases, the difficult cases, the cases where the patient is not really that healthy, right? Even though it is a colonoscopy, that patient's not really healthy enough to walk in and have it done in an office and walk out. So, anyway.
Why do doctors want to have these surgery centers over being in the hospital?
Well, it's economic. It's economic and financial for them, because then instead of somebody paying the hospital, let's say $5,000 for all of the facility that they are providing and services, let's pay the doctor some chunk of that, not the whole 5,000. I just use that as an arbitrary number. Some chunk of that number, because they're going to have staff, they're going to have equipment, they're going to have patient disposable items, that are thrown away or recycled or whatever after each visit. So it's financially better for the physician.
Yeah, Matthew, have you experienced this? Do you know these surgery centers? Have you had any nicks or gone in for any of these?
Yeah, I'm perfect health my whole life, actually. I've never.
There you go.
No.
Come on.
There you go.
No, I've never. I did do a pain management clinic when I was going through my back pain. I think Rock actually picked me up from one of these little pain clinics that I had some procedures in. Yeah, I mean, what he's saying is true. I mean, I had a back surgery done at a major hospital. It was like $180,000. Yeah. And I'm thinking, what would that surgery have been like at a surgery center? Maybe not 180, but maybe 120 or something like that. But there would have been some big savings. Who knows? Yeah. But, one of the things that is really, I think, glaring, and I just had this talk with my wife, his daughter, this morning about healthcare and health insurance specifically. And I really, we know that people are fed up with health coverage and health care as a rule. And we know that's a fundamental thing that I think we could really start to go to work on and get it sorted out, right? And the example that I can give really quick is I had this little thing on my foot, and I went to my podiatrist to get it taken care of. And I said, hey, I think I'm just going to be a cash pay. And she was like, well, we take your insurance. You just have to go down the street, get a referral, and then come back here, and it'll be $400 if we use your insurance. And I was like, how much will it be for a cash pay? She said $186.
It's like
this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's just come on, am I missing something here?
I got to jump through all these hoops and pay twice as much, or I can just give you $186 right now, and we're done with this whole thing. So I know you've spent some time thinking about this. How do we solve the Rubik's Cube of healthcare? What is the solution?
There are some legislative things that are in the works. Who knows if it'll go through or not? But it's like, let's pay the hospital, the doctor, the surgery center this equal amount of money, regardless. It's regardless of where the site.
Take the competition away.
Yeah, take the competition away. If it's the same people doing the procedure, using the same equipment, the same instruments, the same nurses. Yeah, the same room. Why should it be $400,000 in one case and $200,000 in another case? Right. So I think that offers a lot of promise. The hospital lobby is big, is powerful, and they want to retain as much as they possibly can. I would prefer, and I think most of us would prefer, see the doctor who you've been seeing and been treated by, and have fewer people and fewer handoffs. What happens when you go to the hospital? It's you go to this department. Oh, now we're going to take you to this department. Now we're going to take. So there's all these handoffs. Several opportunities for things to get lost in the shuffle, the wrong information to be passed on, and so forth. So I'm a firm believer that smaller is better. Smaller is better in healthcare, and so they're not going to do. Physician offices are not going to do 100% of care. But there's a lot of items, a lot of procedures that can be done in an office.
To back Rock up again, I missed one. I've actually had 3 procedures at surgery centers, and it's been everything exactly what you said. A positive experience. Your just a little easier. You park. It's just from parking to walking in to
no ticket.
It's a little more a little more comfortable in this thing, and
Right.
you're in. And here's your doctor, and you kind of like
Right.
more. It's kind of more in and out too.
For sure.
There's also
Right.
some of that. So I've had a really positive experience. I'm not shocked that you're seeing the success you are.
Right.
You know, I'm
Right.
really not.
So the physicians are seeing a couple of things happen. One is rates keep going down. They keep getting cut by maybe it's 5%.
Like what United Healthcare will pay or something?
Well, it starts with Medicare. So we talk about reducing the cost of government. Part of that is we reduce the cost of Medicare, and we're simply going to pay doctors less, pay hospitals less, pay surgery centers less. So if the physicians are getting paid less, then they need to come up with alternate sources of revenue. I call them multiple revenue streams. And so owning a surgery center is another revenue stream for them. Doing the procedure in their office, that's another revenue stream for them because they're getting the revenue that otherwise would have gone to the hospital. And so, if a physician has a local practice and wants to sustain that, they've got to come up with more ways to generate revenue to sustain their independent practice.
No, Rock, do a lot of these, they own the property as well? Is it a real estate investment or
Could be. It could be. Yeah.
Is that
there's
sometimes yes, sometimes no?
Yeah. I don't think that can be a factor, owning the real estate, but many physician offices are in 10-year leases. Yeah, which is just fine. That's it's just a matter of where they want to put their money.
Got you.
Right.
It seems to me like if you're, and I've been working with doctors over the last couple of years who all worked in big hospital systems, and they all talk about almost like down the line, they'll all say the same thing. We had to see 20 patients a day. It was hardly enough to do anything that we went to school to do. Like we went to school to take care of people and to help sick people get well, and but better than that, to keep people healthy. People that are already healthy, give them that longevity piece. And so why or maybe they are, but more doctors should be seriously considering leaving the big dog and starting their own practice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a risk. It's definitely a risk. They kind of have to have the guts for it, and many of them do. I mean, I've got pain management physicians and vascular surgical physicians who, they can make a lot of money doing these procedures in their office. Now, I help them to first do the financials, run the pro forma. Is this going to work? How much are you going to have to pay for the building? How much are you going to have to pay for your staff? How much are you going to have to pay for the equipment? Medical equipment's not cheap. So I run the pro forma. Then I say, okay, based upon the design of the space you're looking at, let me make some advice on the design. I do that. And then we get to the equipment part. I say, let's look around for equipment. There's a lot of refurbished medical equipment, so you don't have to just buy new. And then take them through the accreditation process. I have nurses that I work with, and we take them through a national qualified accreditation process. They get the accreditation, gold seal of approval, and then the final stage is contracting for the rates. And I started out working with Blue Cross. Now I'm back full circle, working not necessarily against Blue Cross, but try to come up with a partnership with Blue Cross.
Well, and it says on his profile page, if you look at it, he says you get what you negotiate. The old adage, you get what so you help doctors then negotiate better rates. Give me an example of that.
We had there's a beautiful facility in Kingman, and it's a laser cataract eye surgery center. I went in there. They asked me to come down. It's the most beautiful cataract laser surgery center I've ever seen, and it's in Kingman, Arizona. Beautiful place. And I started working with United Healthcare on their behalf. United Healthcare wasn't returning phone calls, so I do what I do. I've been doing this a very long time. I have a lot of contacts, a lot of relationships at pretty senior levels, and I use those. And so we were able to negotiate a better deal for the laser eye surgery center in Kingman, and it was great. Other examples are in other states which, I guess you've got people worldwide listening to your show. So, in other states, there are different regulations. And because there are regulations that restrict the development of surgery centers, the insurance companies are very happy to see me coming. The insurance companies like what I do because I'm going to drive down the cost for the insurance companies as well as for the patients. So
they're working with a real professional that can get the job done.
We've done this. Yeah. We've done this 50, 75 times. Done this a lot.
Any softball fun questions?
I've got one I want to finish with. So because he was talking about these, because I'm sure obviously there's some dreaming apart, and you have your surgery centers now, and what are they going to look for the future? My question is, a bonus question is, you're on Shark Tank, okay?
Oh, here we go.
So instead of pitching a new gadget, you're pitching an idea of an independent surgery center to Mark Cuban. What's your 30-second dramatic, over-the-top pitch to get him to invest in your new surgery center?
I need somebody like Mark Cuban.
Because call him out. He watches our show.
Yeah. I'm sure he does. Yeah. I'm sure he does.
Mark's not doing anything.
I need somebody like Mark Cuban because I need the $1 million marketing budget to get my name out there. I've kind of got the $800 a month marketing budget right now, where you can go on my website.
Oh, yours is bigger than mine. Yeah,
right.
So go. I'm Mark Cuban. Go ahead. What do you got for me, Rod?
So what I have is the value proposition is that it's a consulting business, which will pay over multiple years. And the sky's the limit in terms of the number of the potential doctors, surgery centers that I can work with, and you see it grow and grow and grow. So, the $1 million would be from Mark Cuban would be good for me and good for him.
Okay, besides one of the coolest names, Rockett, that you go by.
It's really a great
so
name,
cool.
isn't it?
That's a rock star, no pun intended.
Well, he is a drummer in a rock band.
Really?
I am a rock star. Yeah, right.
I mean.
In one county of Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's right. Drummer at Oklahoma. He's one of the biggest and best ever.
So what are you going to? Okay, that's what makes you different. Okay, I get what you're saying, Rock. What makes you different?
Well, what makes me different?
I'll give you my $1 million. I'll give you $1 million. But what makes you different? Now
Are you playing the role of Mark Cuban right now?
What makes you different?
My competitors are usually owning a part of the surgery center.
Oh.
I don't do that.
A little conflicted.
Yeah, a little conflicted. Yeah, barely. Yeah, so they are in there for a piece of the action as well as their consulting fees. So you look at what they're charging, they're charging consulting fees, they get equity, they're making, money off of all of that.
And then a little trunk money in the back.
Right, there you go, all the way around. So no, I'm in it for the consulting revenue. And, if I refer them to equipment vendors or accreditation people that can help them out, maybe that benefits us all too. But I'm trying to be honest and fair and reasonable about this, and I'm not trying to, force them to sell half of it to me.
Well, that's a great answer. And Mark, I think you should look him up because he sounds like somebody that knows what he's doing and has been in it a long time.
Yeah. No, I was shocked that you weren't going for the jugular. I thought you might hit my father all up for all kinds of, give me some scoop on Matthew.
Well,
tell me the stories I don't normally know.
I'm intrigued in the business model. I'm a business guy. I'm an entrepreneur too. I read about him.
Sure.
I think you thought out of the box. I mean, you're out of the box thinker, and I appreciate that. I mean, you built your career going on 10 plus years. So I'm just impressed. I mean, that's where my questions are. They were all, you covered them all.
All right.
You're impressive.
Well, super. Yeah.
Well, thanks for being on with us,
Grandpa. All right. You're welcome.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Good
all right.
you
Yeah.
on.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Here's what we'll do. We'll take a quick break.
You guys do a good job.
Take a couple of photos, and then when we come back, we will sit down with the legendary Christie Ellis, who I think almost everybody in Ahwatukee knows.
Everybody does.
Everybody knows her. We'll sit down and chat with her next. Hang out. Well, welcome back. It's Move the Needle. We're live from the Foothills Golf Club inside their brand new facility called the Bunker. Yeah, absolutely. And one more time, we just want to say thanks to Amy Richardson and to Keystone Montessori and to Vero Pizza and to the Tudor doctors who are kind enough to sponsor our program and bring it out to everybody. So we're super grateful.
And this amazing facility, the Foothills Golf Club. Yeah. Troon, Jeremy has been gracious for us. We've been here
100%.
many times and hopefully many, many more for the future. So,
yeah. Well, we started started with Meghan, then we had a Rock, now we have a Christie.
We do.
And
those are names.
Those are her names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. We have Megan, Rock,
Megan.
Christie.
I think that Mega.
Oh no,
I
yeah.
thought that was the name Mega. I'm like, that's a cool name.
It's a bad.
And we
badass
already
name.
queued you up that everybody knows Christie Ellis and Ahwatukee. So there you go, audience. Everybody here knows.
Everybody. There are some people that only moved here like a year ago.
Okay, those
That's
two.
true. But
So-
if you've been in Ahwatukee for
more
5
than- yeah.
plus years,
You know
Yeah, maybe.
Christie.
maybe 10 plus, you know who she is. Well, I mean, for the moment that I got into the market, you were connecting with me and, we were starting to do some things together. Is that innate? Is that natural for you? Is that what you are? Are you just this connector?
Yes, that is. My mom will tell you from the moment I was born and I could talk.
Really?
I was out there and she was my mom is super shy. So it was very uncomfortable for her because I would go into a store and talk to everybody.
Who's this kid?
Well, basically, I apparently called every guy daddy. She didn't like that either.
Oh, that's so
That's
good.
hilarious.
That's so
Yeah.
good.
I love that.
So that wasn't that great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so how did you get your start in real estate?
Yeah. So I was an investor, and this is back in the day. This was 20 plus years ago, and I felt that the agents who were supposed to be helping me really weren't doing what I thought a real estate agent should do.
There you go.
So I said, why don't I just get my license and I'll do it myself, because I figured I could do that. And I did. And then we were investing and doing really well. And friends were asking me to help them do the same thing. And I started doing that. And I was actually a social worker for Banner Hospitals for a number of years. I was in crisis intervention. And that was kind of the same thing as real estate, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, that's very, very similar.
Actually,
Yeah.
I guess I was teed up for that.
Yeah.
And, it was a time where we didn't have kids yet, and I was like, let me just try this real estate thing full time, and it worked out really well.
Yeah. Well, and now you've evolved, and now you've got Team Breezy Street.
I do.
What's that about?
So we wanted to convey the message that, everything with us is going to be as relaxed and easy as possible. It's not to say that we don't hit potholes and speed bumps and all those things, but whatever it is, our team has the experience to get you through it with as hopefully little stress as possible. I mean, I have had poor situations where I've had literally clients lose their memory after we closed on a deal for a while. And it's just, we try and get through it, but it's an education and expectation I set for everyone.
Okay.
And so that's the goal, is to make it as easy breezy as possible.
Yeah, I like that, and then kind of this team approach
Yes.
too, right? And
Yep.
you think about Breezy Street, and you're like, yeah, I want to go there.
Yeah.
Right?
Right? It sounds like a fun place.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like good things happen at Breezy Street.
They do. They really do.
Yeah. Now you grew up in New York.
I did.
So did this guy over here. But
She's
you
a
guys-
real New Yorker. I'm
Yeah.
a fake New Yorker.
I grew up in Queens.
Just when you're from,
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, man. When people
I know,
hear, when
there's
people
a
hear
whole- there's a
Buffalo,
whole- there's a whole
they
thing.
say you're from like South Canada. That's what they say.
You
We
really?
also go like this. Oh,
Yeah, they say South
it's
Canada.
cold.
They're like, Buffalo's in New York? That's what they
Yeah.
say.
Well, a lot of people from Buffalo have never even been to the city.
It's true.
So it's not, that's not
It's
unusual.
true.
Yeah.
Though I have been all over. So
Yeah, yeah.
all over the state.
When did you
It's
come
amazing.
to Arizona?
I came out here in '96. I wanted to go to graduate school at Arizona State. So I did. I thought I was going to go back, but then I realized people here don't shovel stuff.
Yeah.
And I was watching my family go through these horrible winters and terrible weather things, and I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I stayed. Then I met my husband, and then life started happening.
Kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
my
know.
Oh, you have
daughters.
kids now too?
I have identical twins. They're 20.
Get out of here!
I think they
Identical.
graduated
Yeah.
my same year as my daughter.
They're 2023 from Desert
Yes,
Vista.
yeah.
Mhm.
So what's
Yeah.
it like having identical twins?
Me being a psych major and background in social work, it has been the most fun experiment ever because they are such different people. My first daughter, the one who was born 1 minute apart from the other one, is
Yeah.
a first child. And the other one is the second child.
Really?
Interesting.
It's so different.
The
yes.
pecking order work.
It does. It's a very interesting kind of social experiment.
How many years in a row did they look incredibly similar?
So there are friends of ours who still can't tell them apart.
Seriously.
And they'll say things and they each change their hair color, but now they just say which one has the black hair. So they still don't know which is which sometimes.
Is that right? At 20 years old, they still look that.
Yes. One's got more piercings now, so that helps.
Yeah, I had friends growing up that were identical twins that people could not tell the difference. So I learned one thing. And I looked at, as soon as I looked at their face, I picked that one thing out. I'd always know.
And then it would work for you. So I have identical twins in my family. I have an aunt. I have two aunts that are identical twins on my dad's side, and I have two uncles that are identical twin on my mom's side.
Oh, wow.
So I've grown up with the identical
Wow.
situation too. I would suggest that until they were in their 30s, both of them looked so similar.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until a hairstyle change or a weight change or something like that
Yes.
would allow you to go, okay, now I can pick the other one out, or glasses or something like that.
Yeah.
How are their personalities different?
Ash is me and Lizzie's my husband.
Is that right?
My husband's an engineer, if that helps. So they are very different. It is, they're very, very different. They love each other and they get along great, and they plan. One goes to NAU and one goes to U of A, so they plan when to come in. And it's nice that I think them being apart has really helped them get along really well. High school years were rough for them. It was kind of like they wanted their own identity.
Yeah, everybody does.
They have to share everything from the very beginning.
Yeah,
so
tough.
having to do all that, finally they get a little separation and they realize, oh, maybe it wasn't so bad.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to the real estate piece for just a second, because recently she put on a workshop for new home buyers. This is like 6 months ago. And I was thinking, I haven't been a new home buyer in 20-something years. You haven't been a new home buyer in 20-something years. What do people who are out there getting ready to buy their first house, what's different than it was maybe when we were all buying our first places?
Yeah, so there's so many more loan products now, right? There's there's lots more loan products, down payment assistance programs. There's ways to do bank statement loans. There's just a lot of options, how your parents potentially can co-sign for you, and just all these different things that we didn't have back then. And, the way buyer's agents get compensated now after the lawsuit from last year that settled with NAR and the Burnett Sitzer case, that changed the way that we have to approach our clients now and how we have those conversations. So, and the way you buy a house isn't different, right? You have an agent who takes you there, shows you around, gives you all the good information, and then protects you the whole rest of the way. So that's not changed. It's just the different things we now have available to us. Oh, and the internet. That's been helpful.
That's been a big game changer
really
too.
Helpful.
I want to ask specifically about some of the loan products that are out there for new buyers. I mean, I think when we bought our first home, it was 5% down. I mean, this is really all I remember from it. It was 5% down, and then we got our traditional 30-year loan, and that was the end of it. Yeah. So what are some of the new exciting loan products out there for specifically first-time home buyers? So there's down payment. So you can do a down payment assistance program. It's an income level thing. That's not necessarily only for first-time home buyers, but it tends to lend for them because they can have someone pay their down payment, which would be great. Conventional loans now have a 3% for first-time home buyers. You still have your FHA, which is 3.5%. And then lenders also offer different things. So for any client, I always tell them, talk to different lenders because they may have a different product that's specifically for first-time home buyers. The interesting thing is if a bank who's a lender has banks in other states, if let's say an Arizona bank has a Texas bank, and that Texas bank offers some kind of bizarre product to their first-time home buyers, Arizona has to match that. So we have things like consensus tracks, or there's so many different ways to look things up. There's 1% downs for different programs. So lots of opportunities for first-time home buyers to get into the market. Yeah, because I always think, like, you take a market like ours, Steve, Phoenix, it's so expensive. We live in such a modest house in Ahwatukee, and there's nobody who's a first-time home buyer that could jump in unless mom and dad were going to pat him up with $100,000 to put a down payment. I mean, it's really tough to jump in. Your house probably wouldn't be the first-time home buyer home. Yeah, you're looking more no pool, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet. Yeah, like think more that West Ahwatukee, kind of in the Club West, the Arizona Greens area. Yeah, if they're going to be in Arizona, that's in Ahwatukee, that's probably if they're even going to be in this area. That's the thing is too. Sometimes you just have to go. I mean, Maricopa. There's solutions. Oh, you look at Queen Creek. Yeah, so there's Queen Creek is hopping. Yeah, Queen Creek is that's the new hot spot. That is crazy growth for sure. Yes. Okay, so I wanted to ask if I can follow up on my questions really quick. So I thought it would be worth asking you. Now let's say I'm ready to buy my second home or my third home. What are some things that are valuable pieces of information for somebody who's sitting in their starter home going, well, we're having a kid, we need more space. What do they need to know? So commute time is usually one of the most important things for people. Yeah, okay. School district's going to be very important. Okay. Do you have family in the area? Do you need to live by them? Who's watching your children if you have them? If you don't have kids yet, is that in the future plans? There's all these different things you have to think about. Or if we actually just had talked to one client who they were buying their first house at the age of 60. Oh, wow. So is retirement on the horizon, and what does that look like to you? So for the most part, it's going to be school districts is going to be number one. And commute time, number two. Like those are the two really important things for buyers. Okay. And then in terms of the financials, is it one of these things where people can expect to make a good amount of money on their house these days? And how long do I need to stay in it in order to really see that return?
Well, if you bought in 2020, you only had to wait a few months.
Yeah.
So that was a positive.
Yeah.
But realistically, we see a 9% appreciation. And people will look at a national quote, but understand Arizona, Phoenix specifically, is very different. We see a typical 4-8%. That's easy for us. Ideally, you want to stay in a home 2 years because that's when you also get the capital gains tax. You can, whatever you sell it for, as long as you meet the requirements for married or single, you get that. You don't get charged taxes on the interest you made or the equity you made in the home. So there's always that. Ideally, I say if you can stay in there a minimum of 2 years, it's fantastic.
Okay.
I'm also a big believer of start small, rent that house out, get to the next house, then live in that one for a few years, then rent that one out.
Keep
Start
the properties.
building your portfolio.
Keep the properties.
Keep the properties as long as you can. It's a Warren Buffett thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so smart.
It is. You start small and you just keep growing and growing and growing.
It's funny, a conversation came up with me today with a business acquaintance, and he started talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, which I think is fine. I literally just told him, like, I'm not comfortable. I can't invest with, I don't really have a grasp in things. So I haven't gone there at all. A lot of my friends have, but I really defaulted to real estate. I said, well, what are you doing for real estate? And he's like, not much. I said, well, to me, that's really where you build your wealth. I would start, that's again, like that's where I would look is even, a lot of people are looking for the quick hit. And I think that's where kind of like,
well, look at Florida right now. I have a friend who's listing a condo for $159,000 and that has a water view. I'm like, I need that one.
Yeah.
Because we know we're going to see the same thing. Everybody's leaving Florida because of insurance and the condo complex that collapsed, and there's and the hurricanes and the weather. But honestly, Florida's not a bad place. People vacation there a ton.
Yeah.
My
Right.
brother just finished rebuilding his house. I don't know if I told you, his house got destroyed in the hurricane.
Yeah.
They just finished. They
Yeah.
just finished redoing it. Literally the whole thing.
Yeah, so you just got to look at. So it's not necessarily our market as an investor. You could also do 1031 exchanges if you.
What's that?
So a 1031 exchange is when you get to defer the taxes you make on a property if you're going to sell an investment property, and you can keep kicking it down the, kick the can down
Buy
the road.
another one.
Basically. So you can go invest in up to 3 other types of properties. So if you have
I don't know what I don't know.
There you go.
Right? Like, I'm serious. I don't
You
know
guys
what I don't know.
got to have coffee or something.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where I'd rather just pay somebody like her to know all the things.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to hear about it. Just tell me when I got to do it.
Just tell me what I got to do,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's like the doctor, right? I don't need to know what happens when you cut me open. Just do the work, and I'll trust that it's all good on the outset.
Yeah.
Okay, you got some.
I got
some.
so
All right, here we
for
go.
our audience, Christie, what's one of the things that buyers obsess over that really doesn't matter? That they walk in and they immediately zero in on it, and it just comes up all the time. It's just not that important.
So I'm not sure it's one thing in particular. Like everyone's got their little things, right? For example,
What's a popular thing?
Paint. The
Okay.
house is a painted color that they don't like.
It's
and
like-
you just paint it.
Yeah, just buy. Yeah, here's a painter. Here's a.
Yeah, but people don't want to do it. And
I can't see past it.
It's hard to see past paint and floor.
Interesting.
It's very hard.
Very
I would
inexpensive
imagine-
things to replace.
They are.
Compared to a lot of
and
other
you would
things.
just think that you could put in what you want, but when a buyer walks into a house, if the paint is wrong and the flooring's wrong, sometimes they'll just walk out and be like, I don't want to
I
deal
would
with
imagine
this.
cabinets are another one in the kitchen.
But cabinets are important, but for some reason they can see painting those or adding door
Oh,
hardware.
they can. Okay.
Yeah,
So
because
my-
I think they've seen enough HGTV to know what that looks like.
So don't obsess. You're saying don't obsess about the paint.
I don't think you should. I mean,
Okay.
unless
Mhm.
you've got a really tight budget and you can't afford, because the cost of everything has gone up.
Right.
Right. So if you're buying a really big house, the paint job inside could be $5,000-6,000, but you get what you want.
But compared to like if you had to remodel a kitchen,
Oh,
or
yeah.
there were actual repairs or a
This
new
is
roof.
a good question to ask her.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
let's talk about that. What does it cost to remodel a kitchen these days? What is it costing homeowners to redo a bathroom? What is it costing to paint the exterior of their house?
Yeah. So I mean, it can there's
know
so
it
many different
varies,
levels.
right.
Yeah. So if you're just looking at a regular kitchen that you're just going to replace, typical white shaker cabinets,
New appliances.
you're probably in the neighborhood of 25 to 45,000.
Okay.
Bathroom, I mean, but you can go to 150 if you want all the vistas and the that's and the garage, like appliance garages and all those fun, cool things. And
everything costs. You know,
I
what do
know.
you want? You know,
Yeah,
you want a robot? You want a robot?
Yeah.
So what about bathrooms? So probably about
bathrooms
10,
are
15?
15 to 25.
Yeah.
Primary bathrooms, you know, and sometimes that's just even like going on Wayfair just to buy a vanity, you know, not like getting your custom cabinet guy in there, right? And you can do things, you know, you can make things look good for a good, decent, low amount of money just to make it look nice until you want to buy the more extravagant, you know, the light, you know, the mirrors that have the lights that you can push all the colors and and you can get the TV reflected in it and all that fun stuff. So you have all those options. It's just, where's your budget right now? But there's always something that can fit the budget.
What about like painting the outside of a house? What's that costing people these days?
Ooh, well, again, single story, 2-story, you know.
Yeah,
so if you're looking at, you know, a 2,000 square foot single level home, you're probably in the neighborhood of $4,000.
Yeah.
You know, that's just painting that outside stucco, and inside, you know, I think it's a little bit less to paint outside than it is to paint the inside because you got the baseboards and the ceilings and the doors and all that fun
not
stuff.
as much prep work
Right,
involved.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, it's all very interesting to me because I know people are thinking about these things right now, but, you know, it's this big buyer's market that we're in right now.
It is a buyer's market, so you can negotiate those deals right now.
That's what I'm thinking.
Not to completely shift gears,
Shift
but
gears,
a little
I'm
bit
fine with
shifting
that.
gears.
Sure.
Besides Christie being real estate known in Ahwatukee, I know she's been involved with some community projects as well, rallying the community.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? I know that's become a big part of your
philanthropy
life.
for sure.
So philanthropy's always kind of been my hobby, and it's what I love doing. Most recently, I did the hurricane relief for North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
And basically what happened there was I didn't realize how bad the storms had hit North Carolina, especially Western North Carolina, until I started seeing family, because my husband's family's from North Carolina. And I started seeing family members posting, you know, they're getting women off of roofs and they're rescuing babies
It's
from.
horrible.
It was awful. And so I called my cousin, I'm like, what is going on? She said, people are trapped and they can't get out of their towns. They can't get out of their homes.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. So I call up my friend George, who is works for Just in Time Moving.
He's watching right now. Hi, George.
So I said, hey, George, I said, what would Justin, who owns Just in Time Moving, charge me to bring a box truck full of supplies over to North Carolina? He says, well, put it in an email. Let's see what he says. I don't even know if it was 10 minutes later. Justin said, oh, we'll give her everything she wants. Donate the truck, the fuel, the driver, everything. Then I got all panicky. I'm like, oh, now I got to fill a box truck.
Now you're going. Now you're going.
I know. I'm like, he cannot go with just like a roll of paper towels.
No.
So, yeah, I pulled the community together. We fortunately got in with some people who put us on the news, and they did some stories. And I have our networking chapter that helped us out, and it became my 4-car garage was filled. We filled a whole entire box truck. I was 3,000 pounds over. So we just took off some water because they were good on water, and sent it all out to a church in North Carolina that we dropped it off at a volunteer fire department. So we had a food pantry, a women's clinic, and then people getting supplies from Boone, North Carolina.
Wow,
Come and grab them. Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, no, it was
Way to rally the troops. Yeah,
I've been told I'm a good galvanizer.
You
I
are.
can make people do things that they don't necessarily think they want to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, you do. She's got a little superpower there for sure. Well, that's good. That's good. What's next up for Team Breezy Street?
Let's see. So we're building the team. We're adding more people, and just, you know, it's kind of been a little busy ever since the election. The floodgates opened a tad bit, and lots of buyers and sellers right now. So managing that, training some new agents, just kind of doing the real estate thing. That's, you know.
That's the game.
Yeah, that's the game. And I'm now running for HOA board. So yeah, I just keep adding things. It's fun. I know. It's important. Home values are really important to me.
Maybe somebody will like the HOA board if you get on there.
Well, there's 4 of us that are running right now because there are 4 vacancies. It's a very positive group of people with a very strong mindset towards growth and like making sure Ahwatukee Custom Estates is an amazing place to live. You know, we want to make it the great luxury neighborhood it is, and so looking at doing some very forward things. So hopefully,
yeah. So you'd be the kind of person that's like, your garbage can stayed out for 6 hours too long.
Yeah, no, we don't do that kind of stuff.
No, you just can't paint your house pink.
No, you could if your 3 neighbors said it was okay in some situations. It's
Oh,
just,
there
you know,
you
it
go.
just depends.
Yeah.
The shade of pink, is it like, you know?
Yeah, bright pink.
Yeah, good. Well, listen, it was great to see you again.
Yeah,
Wait,
thank you.
I'm not letting her go. I've got one more.
Go.
Okay.
Yeah, I got another
Go.
bonus
I
question.
don't even want to hold this back. Let's go.
No. Hey, listen, house hunting. My question is, house hunting is basically dating, right? They swipe, they get excited, they fall in love, and then they ghost you. In what way is house hunting kind of like modern dating, and how do you keep people grounded?
Okay, so I haven't dated in a lot of years. I've married 22
Okay,
years. So
okay.
This is what I know from
know?
what my friends tell me.
Okay, how do you keep them grounded?
I think it's all about education, right? Everything is about if you can preempt their questions by answering them for them.
Great answer.
They're less likely to not believe you. They're like, oh, that did happen. And I tell every client, I said, here's the thing. You're going to tell me exactly what you want, what it's going to look like, what your must-haves are, and what you're never going to take in a house. I promise you the house you end up with is going to be almost nothing like that.
Right.
Because you're going to walk in and every house has a feeling or an energy. And
That's
someone
it.
walks in and they're like, this is the one. I'm like, but it doesn't have the double ovens. It's okay. I even had a client who was so feng shui, and every house we could not, if it wasn't feng shui, we had to leave it, except we got to the one. I was like, well, this isn't feng shui. I can make it work. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
so that's like, it's like everybody wants something until they realize that property is exactly
Just
what they want.
like dating.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
It is just like
I
dating.
want him to be 6'3", 200 pounds,
or
big muscles,
or it's better,
and they
or you get
almost-
better like it's like I'm not dating. It's like, who's that?
Exactly.
Now I'm dating.
But it's the energy of a person. The same thing with the house. There's an energy of a
So
house.
true.
So
It's a great answer.
Yeah,
Great
it's-
answer.
And I have done this over 1,000 times, and it happens every time.
That's so
Every
fun.
time. So I tell people, don't panic. You will find the one, and I promise you, you'll know it the minute you walk in the door.
Anything else?
That's it. I mean,
Wonderful.
again, Christie's been she's been a friend. I've known her since I started my business. I mean, 15 plus years ago. So we go way back. She's been a great part of the community. Just thankful for what you do
Thank you.
your
I
friendship
appreciate
too.
you. Yeah, I
thank
appreciate
you.
both of you for always being like, Ahwatukee strong.
Yeah,
We are
absolutely.
Ahwatukee strong, aren't
Absolutely.
we?
Yep.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yep.
All right, well, listen, thanks again to Jeremy from the Foothills Group for having us out here inside the new bunker. Is this
Yeah,
your
it's
first time in
beautiful.
the space?
Yes, I didn't even know this was here until
It just
Isn't it
opened.
awesome?
They
Yeah,
just
I know.
really,
This is absolutely fantastic because these simulator things are so popular now.
Yes,
And
because they're cheaper than a round of golf.
that and it's cool inside.
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
That's
and the
a
cart
good
girl
point.
is right there.
And she's 10 steps away. Yeah,
Exactly.
That's so true. Also want to say thanks to Amy Richardson and Keystone Montessori and Vero Pizza, and of course the Tudor Doctors for being a great partner in this journey.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you all.
We'll see everybody next time on our Move the Needle podcast.